Hey, what's up guys, Zocli. We're going to be playing some Warhammer 2 Total War Online battles. It's a Dark Elves vs Dark Elves Civil War, although in this occasion it's going to be a cool matchup. We have Malekith versus Morathi. I'm going to be fielding Morathi with the Cult of Pleasure here, so fielding a lot of ladies. These ones are ready to tussle here. So let's go over what we've brought to the battlefield. It's a bit of a smaller build. If you do look at the troop count, we have 558. He has 959 going up against us. So like I said, I decided to bring a couple more of the women type of warriors. So I have two of the Witch Elves on either flank behind that, and then an elite core in the back actually. Some Harganeth Executioners, again, looking absolutely gorgeous with their unit models. Like a Halloween costume right there. And then in the center, we have the Blackguard of Nagaron, and they're going to be guarding a Death Hag with the Cauldron of Blood, always looking so glorious. And this thing in infantry fights can tear it up. So it's going to be my centerpiece. And the reason I have these Witch Elves positioned here was a little bit for the theme of it all, but then also to tie up any important units. If Malekith charges in or whatever, I can sick them on him, try and get him caught up, and then engage with the rear lines once the enemy is forced to rampage. So yeah, this is a little bit about controlling the center. In the mounted department, I have two Harpies. I also have Morathi over here, backed up by a ginormous Black Dragon, because I knew Malekith could perhaps threaten me in the sky, so I decided to bring a dragon of my own to back myself up, and she does look glorious there with that deadly steed. Oh, riding on the side of that. That is one way to fall off. But yeah, so we're going to assert air control here, getting out at the enemy. The enemy also has deployed their own units in the rear. Two Harpies coming in to try and do a big strike on the back of my force. I guess catch archers or whatever I had in the back as a surprise. But luckily for me, it's all elite troops. Nothing much to be hit by. His center is going to be Malekith on foot. Pretty decent move if he had the anticipation that would hit him out of the skies. So he's going to be taking it on foot, and he does have a build that's meant to kind of hit you across the board with a big line of bleak swords. Not as good as Blackheart Corsairs, but good enough chaff to clog the front lines. And then behind that, he has Harganeth Executioners. He has Dark Shards with shields, and two of his own Witch Elves. So pretty heavy infantry build. We'll see if I can counter this. I have a little bit of an edge in the elite infantry department, but that's just one unit of Nagaron and Blackguard of Nagaron. And in response, he has two archers. He has bleak swords. So I've invested a lot in terms of my mounted department. So we'll see how this goes, as well as the fact that he has Cold One Knight. So he seems to have a ton of tools up his sleeve. So we'll see how this goes. Knowing that this is a pretty big build, a little bit wary about attacking it head on, but I'm going to go ahead and push the flanks with my flyers for the time being, see if I can get some early shots on or magic with Morathi. And I'm trying to think about how I can maybe dive bomb some of those archers, or at least force them away from the front lines in order to allow my guys to trade cost effectively. But you'll notice I have no real way to force an engagement here because he has archers. I'm going to be the one to fall back in this case. So I'm just sharking around for an opportunity. And I do spot one, seeing these Harpies in the background. I'm going to go ahead and decide to, let's follow these guys, pursue them, cut them off. They were deployed to my rear lines, and I figure, hey, I'm going to retreat from the main battle line and just focus on trying to knock out two of his Harpies. If I can do that, that'll give me not only complete air superiority, but also pick up some quick and easy kills, get me a little bit of a lead here. So I'm going to be making a beeline, driving a wedge between his forces, the reinforcements and others, and catching these Harpies on my lines. He is going to try and zoom in with reinforcements, but I did deploy one of my disposable Dread Spears. They're just a mobile, cheap force there to plant themselves and serve as a pick against the rest of the enemy troops. Anyways, here I go, closing in on them. I do stomp on these Harpies from the back. Dragon is coming, another Harpy force coming in. I'm going to try and cast some spells against these guys, although he does pull out of that engagement after I've done Soul Blight to take away some of the armor and try and make this battle go much more in my favor. I'm going to continue to pursue. They're down to pretty low health, but now we have an overall engagement here with Harpies all around. Not quite sure. Oh my god, they look freaking brutal. And then the dead bodies. Let the bodies hit the floor. So this is just, oh god, murderous on all sides. Although most of them that are dropping are going to be from the opponent's side. So pretty happy about how this is going. Morathi in the mix, doing a good job of basically keeping the enemy tied down. And yeah, allowing my guys to do hammer and anvils around the back. So here we have one off the battlefield. The other one is going to be seen off at half health. So things are going my way. The dragon also lurking over on this side to maybe get some breath spells on the target of the executioners. There is a wind spell with Malekith here just striding forward, saying enough of this bullshit in the air. And he's just going to come up and try and deal with my guys. Front and center, Blade Wind also, so he is pissed against some of my elite troops, doing a fairly decent amount of damage against them. Most of them are going to pick themselves up, and I'm going to try and reform in the center. Again, Dread Spears are just here to hold back and pin the enemy in place. He's not quite sure he wants to engage because I can throw in my Witch Elves, and they are now spotting an opportunity. If they can charge Malekith, this would be a great pickup for me. Black Dragon also going to be waiting on the outskirts, taking some bow fire. That's okay for me. I'd much rather he shoot at that with a couple volleys than hit these Witch Elves. And so here they come against these Bleak Swords. They're going to start to tie down his center. And then meanwhile, I'm going to set the pick here with these Dread Spears and seek an engagement up through the center. Again, tying both of these down with the Witch Elves, and then going to come in with a pretty brutal strike with Hargoneth Executioners. And then also with my bats. Or sorry, excuse me, these Harpies, I can dive bomb through the front lines and go after the archers. So let's see how this engagement gets underway as the Ladies of Death seek to... Oh, what was that? Looked like a blue whip. Anyways, they're going to seek to punish these men. Cult of Pleasure doing what they do in the Cauldron, also coming in. Going to do some hammer and anvils on the back. Harpies also just gangbanging these guys. The Cult of Pleasure getting their pleasure on here. A bit morbid, I would have to say. We'll see what they do with the dead bodies afterwards. That's going to be the pleasurable part for them. But I'm going to get countercharged by some of the enemy, elites, Hargoneth Executioners. But if they're going to charge anything, yeah, I'm more than happy to have them charge some of those Harpies. Not going to be doing too much damage. Meanwhile, the front breaks. These ladies, Witch Elves, destroying the Bleak Swords here as well. And it looks like the enemy's... units were beaten back. Oh no, are those my guys? Yeah, looks like actually a spell came in and he committed his... no, these are my... I'm having trouble distinguishing between the Cult of Pleasure and others. Okay, so these are my Witch Elves and these are my Hargoneth Executioners. So yeah, they blew through the front, destroying the Bleak Swords and the enemy Witch Elves. A lot of that due to the fact that the Death Hag is in here. So we're just delivered a big sucker punch in the center. And again, with our pick here, the Dread Spears continuing to pull back and just delay against these Bleak Swords, and the Riders circling around the back, not quite sure where they want to engage. Over here we do have an isolated Hargoneth Executioner being tied down by one of my Harpies. Same thing with the archers here, not getting much done, and so I'm doing a really great left hook with my guys. Morathi is also going to be in the mix. She's going to be casting spells, Soul Blight to drive him down. I do get a bit of a noxious breath here, trying to get it on the troops that were tied down in the center, although it looks like it went on a couple models and went wide. But here comes our glorious Cauldron of Blood in the background with a lot of my elite troops as well. Looks like we're about to get Murderous Prowess on both sides. Cold One Rider is going to be charging in. Anti-Large should be good enough to take out this chariot, and so I'm going to have to be wary about this. Try and pull back in. I do have some of my Dread Spears as well. Committing on this side, Blackguard against Witch Elves. Witch Elves may have an initial early advantage, but I will soon tip the tide, as well as the fact that Morathi here, Power of Darkness to get her magic back up, and then she's going to start to debuff all this. My Dragon, meanwhile, circling around, dealing with those Harpies, and now he does spot an opportunity to come in and land amongst these Dark Shards. I was really worried about these guys, but a single Dragon can definitely take them on. The enemy going to try and gang up on me with his Cold One Riders, but staying very nimble with this dragon. It's not the worst thing in the world if it dies. It doesn't have my Lord on it, and so I'm okay to have it just be here to pull units out of position, relieve stress over here. And we're going to be doing work. Let's see these Witch Elves for the opponents, trying to hold back. And it is not working out for the units on this flank. Bleak Swords, etc. being... Ooh, and here's Morathi. 1-2 punch with Morathi coming in. And the Death Hag as well. Cleaning up these guys. So I'm really, really happy with the way my guys have been holding out. As well as in the center, I was able to pounce on Malekith with some of the Witch Elves. Did sacrifice them as well as some Hargoneth Executioners to bring him really down to low health. But the enemy has sent everything into the center to try and rebuff my guys. They're able to do that, but they're leaving Malekith desperately alone. He's walking off the battlefield, and he does seem to dodge a breath there. Just barely missed him. He is just on the edge of his health here, 287 HP. I'm going to try and dive bomb with the Black Dragon, but here comes some Cold One Knights, and Harpy's actually coming in as well, and he does miss that, both with his talons and his tail, circling about, knocks him around, tries to eat him, and the Harpies are going to come in the back, but just as they're trying to get him, looks like he's going to walk on out of this fight, despite the leathery bat wings hitting him in his face. I bet he wished he could have more of these leathery bat wings in his face. But he's going to have to go ahead and lick his wounds. He's still at 278, amazed to see him still with health, but my dragon's getting pretty low. These Cold One Knights with anti-large armor piercing should be able to take him out. I'm a little bit worried. Over on this side, my guys are recovering, having beaten back the somewhat weak Bleak Swords. You can see Soul Blight, or Doom and Darkness actually, which is a really nice spell. Instantly does negative 16 leadership, can really break these low tier units, and is helping me out a ton. These Blackguard of Nagaron actually being beaten rather handily by these Witch Elves, trading pretty cost effectively. They did have some Bleak Swords and other units, so good on them for tanking it out in that fight. Cauldron of Blood also similarly very, very low on health. I try and get some breath against the enemy. Malekith still up in the front, up in the fight, hiding here as he is in the roots. And now he's going to come back. Oh, regenning a little bit. He's up to 470 here. And let's see if he can come back and finish this off. The enemy having Argeth Executioners, some pretty elite guys in the center. If my Death Hag retreats, and if my Dragon is forced to rout, and the enemy comes back, this could spell trouble for me. Luckily, I do have Morathi up in the sky still. Pretty good health, not much that can deal with her at this point in time. And so she's going to come up here and kind of help keep this Dragon alive by rebuffing that. And then we're going to circle around on the bottom lines. Ooh, damn. So showing that there's still a lot of magic reserves here, doing everything to knock my guys on their asses, doing a fair amount of damage. Ooh, Wind Blast as well, just punishing this. So that Malekith being really, really dangerous, but Morathi is going to come back and try and see him off. 1v1, this is what he wants, what he's always wanted. He's going to get wet and slippery over here, but he does get knocked on his ass. And I believe that was it. So with that single blow, she fells Malekith. So that was pretty awesome. 1v1ing and then recommitting to the fight, and now all are going to lose hope in the face of that. So Pyrrhic victory for the Cult of Pleasure, but they're going to be very happy in the aftermath of this battle. Lots of blood, lots of bodies, and especially lots of prisoners to deal with. So that was a pretty fun battle. I do like these Civil War scenarios, especially when you have two of those kind of epic lords dueling it out, one on land, one in the air, and the Death Hag was also really cool. So just a really awesome matchup, although I do wish there was a little bit more in the way of differentiation. It was a bit hard to tell from the replay here, but played up pretty interestingly. Surprised my opponent did not use his range units to that much of an advantage. He definitely had that over me. What he should have done is just moved up with his Dark Shards to support and take out my air capacity, or at least force them back. And just done some denial. These guys deployed in the back was a pretty good move. He could have definitely landed on some of my units had I had archers, but he ended up having them a little bit too exposed, and I was able to grapple with them and take them off the battlefield pretty handily. So yeah, that was good. The rest of his line committed pretty well. Overall, a fair amount of kills. I think the Cold One Knights here weren't used to the best effect. When he saw me charging up through the center, probably could have engaged just a couple piecemeal units to deal with the Witch Elves, and then my Hargath Executioners, which got a fair amount of kills. Yeah, double chevrons here, a single chevron here. He probably should have saved these Cold One Knights for hammer and anvils against that. Had he taken those guys out, the rest of his line probably could have steadied itself and traded more effectively. So that would be some of my pointers for him, but still Malekith doing pretty good work. Morathi putting in some of a time of her own as well. But anyways, that was pretty fun. Quick fought battle. And yeah, just some stuff I'm getting in quick battles I've been playing as of late. Wanted to switch it up from the Tomb Kings, show you a little bit of the other stuff that we have in the chamber. And like I said, like I keep saying, it's fun. So that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. And I do hope to bring you more content in the future, not only for some Banished, Northgard, but also I've been trying to play a little bit of They Are Billions, which has been so fun. Still having trouble beating it, but I'm learning with every attempt. Let me know what you guys think. See you.